After you finish your Gumball machine assembly, I'd like you guys to create this drawing, and this will be what we take out in the shop to work from with the pieces that you've drawn. What I'd like to do in this video is show you guys how to bring these pieces in and how to put the dimensions onto this sheet. So, to begin with, you guys are probably going to see a screen that looks like this. So the first thing that we're going to do is click on Drawing. We get the white sheet that we're working from before. Now what we'll do is use the base button here, and it's going to bring up the drawing view menu. From here, we're going to click on the icon right here that's going to allow us to open up an existing file, and hopefully this will take you right to your place. If not, you can use this menu to search for your name, and then underneath there you should find all of your drawings that hopefully, if you follow the directions, you have labeled like I have here. Okay, what I would suggest to you is start with the biggest pieces first. Top would be one of them, the bottom is going to be the other. So click top, click open, and it's going to appear on the screen. And right now, I don't need to worry about where I have this moved yet. I just want to make sure that it is on the screen. I can change the scale, and if I make this larger, okay, that's possible, but I don't think all the pieces are going to fit onto the screen, so try to leave this as 1:1. And then if you notice how there's a dotted green line here, I could put in top views, right side views, but because there's not a lot of information that's going to be shown there, I'm not really going to do that. So I'm just going to leave it in the view like this. I'm going to put a note in later. So from here, hit OK. The piece is going to appear like this. And now I'm going to move this up along the top. I'm going to go back to base, back to my open existing file button there. I'm going to go to bottom, hit open. I'm going to move this one again, kind of like I have the top. Leave the scale 1:1, hit OK. I'm going to go ahead and put in the rest of these pieces, but our process is going to be the same. Click base, open an existing file, click on the parts. So what I'll do here, like I said before, I'm going to pause this video and continue to put in these pieces, and you can do the same, and then once we have these in, I'll show you what we're going to do from there. Alright, I have almost all of my pieces in, but I do want to show you one thing here quick before we start back up. A couple of these pieces here I've put in a side view. So we have a front view and we have a right side view. This is for our ramp. This is for the dowel. Okay, one of the things that happens while I bring these in is that the scale changed. So it tried to use a bigger scale to help it fit more of the page. But I put these back to 1:1, and I want to show you that quick with the ramp side I need to put in yet. So when I click this, you see that it's quite a bit larger than what the actual dimensions are. So this is saying that the scale factor changes of 4:1. I want to leave this as 1:1, so that way everything looks like it should. I think it'll be easier for us to see those parts when we get out into the lab. Okay, the other thing that I did was, like I said, add that right view in. So if I bring my cursor over to the side here and left click, it will allow that right view to come in. I can do one of two different things now to add those drawings to this sheet, either by clicking OK, or the other thing I can do is right click and hit OK, but either of those will work. One other drawing I might add in here yet is from my top view to show that we have routed edges on both the top and the bottom piece. To do that, I'm going to go to Projected, right next to Base. That's going to work with a drawing that I already have out here. And what I'll do is come down here so it looks like we're seeing that top face. So it'll be like the front view. Click here, and then again I can right click and hit create. That'll put it in. Because this was the top view, it's also going to show the hidden lines for the hole that's in the center. Now the next thing I want to show you guys is how to add dimensions, and in the case of the holes here, center lines. So I'm going to go to annotate next. This is going to allow me to dimension here, and these buttons right here are going to allow me to mark my center point. So this first one, the center mark, is going to allow me to put the center mark in the hole. Alright. This center line bisector is going to allow me to put a center mark between two hidden lines. And all I have to do is click on the two hidden lines, and it'll put the center line right through the middle. I'm also going to have to use the center mark button for the slider. So I'm going to have to mark the 3 holes that we have, and then also mark the 3 half holes. That will tell me where the center point is for those as well. Now I can start adding dimensions. Right? So dimension, and this part's pretty easy. So I click on the line I want to dimension, I bring the cursor out until I get a dotted line, and I click. When I click, this menu appears. Right now I'm just going to hit OK, because there's nothing I can change with the dimension. That part would have to be done in the drawing itself, the one that you have initially drawn to allow us to do this. Okay, and I'm going to continue to do this for my pieces. Now again, I'm going to end up pausing this and allow you guys to put the dimensions on. And as I work through this, I'm going to stop again here to show you a couple things. And one of those, before I do stop, is going to be the dimensions here for your front piece. Okay, again, we're going to need to know how long this piece is going to be, how tall. Then you're going to put in the dimensions just like you took for your sketches. To be able to draw these with the program. Alright, so I'm going to pause these, put in some dimensions, and then I'll show you what our next steps are. Alright, as you can see, most of my dimensions are now in. But there's some things that I want to call out here with the slider, because this one is going to be a little bit different than what we've done in the past. So first off, we're going to start with the dimensions. I need to know the total length of the slider, so when I put this dimension on, I want to make sure that I see these green lines. So I'm going to first click on the one, and then click on the other, and for this dimension, I need to go out a long ways from the piece, because the longest dimension is going to be furthest away from the object that we're dimensioning. The reason why it's so far away is that we need to have room to put the rest of the dimensions in. So I'm going to zoom in here just a little bit so we can start putting the rest of these in. So again, click on the green dot, click on the green dot right here at the end of this center mark. And this one's going to stay close. Alright. Excuse me. Let me try this one more time. There we go. Then you notice those dotted lines again. If you can get those to click there, that would be a fantastic thing. And again, notice how I'm clicking on the ends of those center marks, not in the center, because we want to have a little bit of space between where our extension line begins and where the part of our object that we are dimensioning stops as well. So there should be a gap. These shouldn't be touching. Okay. One final dimension here. Again, this one would be close because it's only one, but it would give us room to do other dimensions if we needed them. Now, the other thing that we have here, excuse me, is we need to put in information about the holes. If I just use the dimension tool, though, and I click on this, okay, it just gives me the diameter of the hole. Alright? I don't want just the diameter. If you recall, we set a depth for how far we drilled this hole and this hole out. So what I'm going to do is delete that dimension, and I'm going to show you guys this tool right here. It's the hole and thread notes button. Okay, with that selected, I'm going to come over and now I'm going to click on this hole. Okay, notice how my information changed. It actually has the diameter of 1/4 of an inch, but it also tells me that I go down. In this case, it says 0.38. Okay, but we're going to change that to fractions here, and that's going to be one of the next things that I show you. But use the hole and thread button, because it's going to give you not only the diameter, but the depth that it needs to be drilled. Alright, now I really don't have space over here to put in another dimension, so what I can do is modify my note right here. First thing I need to do is hit escape on the keyboard so that hole and thread is no longer selected, and then I want to double click on this note. When my edit hole note menu appears, what I'm going to do is click cap locks, and then type TYP and then period. Then I can hit OK. I should have put a space in there. So let me double click that again, and we're going to add a space real quick. Alright. So now, what that tells me, this typical, is that anything, or TYP stands for typical, so anything that looks like this feature is going to be the same size. So that's telling me that this would also be a 1/2 inch diameter. It's going to be drilled 3/4 of an inch deep all the way through this piece. Again, that it's going to follow that because it's the same as this one. I could have done the same thing for this hole and this hole and only dimensioned one and put typical as a note behind that, but we had the space, so we went ahead and put the dimension in. Alright. Now, the next thing I want to show you guys is how to label these, because you are going to want to know what parts these are. Really simple. Text tool. Click above the object that we want to label. This one happens to be the top. And what will help immensely for you guys to be able to see this is if you click the drop down arrow here, change this to 0.240 right now, and then with cap locks also selected, just right top and hit OK. We're going to do that for each one of these pieces, and I'll show you the first couple, and then again I'll pause this and allow you guys to continue. Now you see here that I didn't change my height of the text. It's okay. If I hit escape, double click this, the menu will come up. I have to highlight the text and then click on the 0.240 button. If I don't highlight it, it won't change it. So make sure that you do that. Okay? Alright. Alright. So here we've got our dimensions on each one of our pieces. We have the pieces labeled. And the last thing that we need to do is change the dimensions. And I'll show you how to do that in the next video because this one has gotten rather long. So take a look for the next one. It'll be part 2 of our dimensioning stage. Thanks much, guys.